Welcome everybody. Hi, my name's Scott Hebbard from Sparx Systems, and our webinar today is entitled Prolaborate, Engage and Inform Everyone. I'm joined today by Prolaborate evangelist Nizam Mohammed, who will present an overview of Sparx Systems Prolaborate, the latest addition to the Sparx Systems suite of tools. Throughout the session, I'll be hosting and I'll be taking any questions throughout the webinar. Much of the audience will be familiar with the Sparx Systems primary product, Enterprise Architect, which is the premier desktop tool for modelers, designers, publishers, team leaders, architects, and software developers. It's a proven and tested modeling and design tool that bridges the gap between business and IT, between systems and architecture, and between different enterprise silos. Typically, Enterprise Architect is used on desktop machines, where models are built and designed by experts. But what about the people that need to consume or view that information? How can we help other stakeholders make the most of these corporate models? The ProCloud Server opens your entire enterprise to your modeling efforts, enabling stakeholders to have secure access for discussion and review. WebEA, hosted on the ProCloud Server, complements Enterprise Architect by providing a real-time view of your project content anywhere, anytime. The ProCloud Server provides a rich set of APIs and services that supports easy consumption of Enterprise Architect models via mobile phones, handheld devices, and web-enabled technologies. The ProCloud Server has been expanded to include data integration with many services such as Jira, ServiceNow, and SharePoint, to name but a few. It has been optimized for use over geographically distributed networks and removes the need for data drivers on desktop clients. So that brings us to what we're looking at today, which is Prolaborate. Prolaborate is the next step in delivering models and designs to the broader community by enabling high-level executives and stakeholders to see their personal and curated view of the model in a way they feel comfortable with. Prolaborate can engage and inform everyone in your organization. Prolaborate is a tailored set of views that can reduce complexity, focus attention, and increase the accessibility of model information for non-modelers and others who are more concerned with consuming the model rather than directly editing it, although this can also occur. Prolaborate also provides a social platform outside the model that supports talking about the model from different viewpoint to those actively engaged within the model. Prolaborate also provides dashboards, impact analysis, and other outside of the model features that derive information from the model, providing unique windows into the model for a custom audience, be that a chief executive officer, chief information officer, important stakeholder, customer, or client. The Sparx Systems tool suite delivers world-class modeling and design solutions to business, industry, and companies all around the world, helping customers to model, share, and engage. Prolaborate is the newest product added to the ProCloud Server family, and it all sits under Sparx Systems. So Sparx Systems' recent acquisition of Prolaborate brings the benefits of modeling and design-based solutions to a wider audience. So before we continue, just a few general housekeeping notes. Please note that audio is muted for all participants. You will be able to type questions to the host, and if we can't answer questions live, we'll follow up offline. I would now like to hand over to Nizam Mohammed, our Prolaborate evangelist, to showcase Sparx Systems Prolaborate, helping our audience to engage and inform everyone. So thank you, Nizam, and look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Hello, everyone. This is Nizam, and we'll be walking through Prolaborate, as Scott mentioned, one of the recent additions into the Sparx Systems suite of products, which is primarily a web-based collaboration and sharing platform for Sparx Enterprise Architect. So Prolaborate, being the newest addition to the Sparx Systems suite of products, offers intuitive architecture dashboards, impact analysis capabilities, social collaboration features, and also allows seamless personalization. Enterprise Architect, in combination with Prolaborate, lets you define and create digital architecture platform by leveraging your EA model data to build dashboards and graphs and personalized views. It greatly enables faster design to execution by sharing your curated business knowledge to end users and also allowing them to collaborate seamlessly. It also allows you to drive key decisions by letting them create their own graphs and charts on top of EA model data, which greatly redefines the effectiveness of EA model consumption. So we'll be looking at 5 key aspects of Prolaborate, the new solution that Scott mentioned about, and we'll see how this Prolaborate, ProCloud Server, and Enterprise Architect solution together would be an inevitable toolkit for architects. We all know we invest strenuous efforts in building and developing an enterprise architecture landscape. The real purpose of this architecture is to provide the right insights to the team to drive key decisions. However, we have always seen there's an acute disconnect between the architects and the end users. The trade-off between the technical completeness and usability has always been one of the major challenges that is difficult to address. So we'll see in this next couple of minutes how Prolaborate could be a tool that could address or mitigate this problem. So we'll be starting with the personalized and curated dashboard that lets everyone, including the C-level executives, senior management, and the rest of the team, to have their own view of the underlying model. So the Prolaborate's dashboards provides an incredible way to simplify and curate model information in an easily comprehensible way. Let me start simple by just showing a personalized dashboard that can be presented as a starting point for model consumers. Prolaborate allows to personalize these portals by picking and choosing the parts of the model that they are interested in. They could be diagrams or real-time discussion feeds, or it could be a list of artifacts filtered and grouped by certain criteria, or it could be charts and graphs driven by the same underlying model information. The users can look at these, and they could also navigate to the respective model information by just clicking on them. So Prolaborate also allows users to view the most relevant contents from the underlying model in a simple clickable thumbnail format, which on a single click helps them to navigate to the live and the most current version of the underlying diagrams. The users can click on each of these diagram items and then look at the details of them. And as you can see, even the details of these artifacts are filtered and simplified. Rather than displaying a whole raft of tagged values and custom properties and property sheets that we usually see in a comprehensive modeling environment, the users get to see a very specific set of details that they will be interested in. Now let's take a look at some of the specialized ways of curating the underlying model information to provide the much needed insights. So this application management dashboard, for example, provides insights into the application catalog that leverages the model information to provide a real-time view of the application health, lifecycle, obsolescence, security classifications, vendors, etc. Such a view of the application catalog allows easy application portfolio management. The business analysis dashboard, on the other hand, leverages the same model data, but it curates it in a completely different way for the BAs and product owners and Agile teams. And they could quickly refer to these user stories or requirements as a list or as graphs, which depicts how they've been progressing based on criticality or other parameters to help them stay on top of the underlying project deliverables. So let's get even further with the enterprise architecture dashboard, which takes the underlying model information to a completely different look and feel and analysis capability, where it delves down through multiple layers of EA model information. For example, starting from a business service to functions to processes or the infrastructure or to the data layer, and you can create heat maps or multi-level pie charts that helps users to click and play with it to find the right level of details that they will be interested in. So these dashboards allows users to interact with them, to just get to see the information that they will be using on a day-to-day basis, rather than allowing them to or making them to go through the entire project to find the right information. So the next topic that we'll delve into are the real-time reports and graphs that we saw in the dashboard, and we'll see them in a little more detail and see how they could be beneficial to the end users. So the real-time reports, as I mentioned, are just tapping into the underlying EA model information, the tagged values, the connectors, and the properties that we have captured over rigorous modeling exercises, and just gives these on a very highly curated graphs so that the rest of the team could make sense of it. So this view shows some of the real-time reports driven based on model information. These graphs are interactive and allows you to drill down into any of these segments to understand the models contributing to that particular graph. So let me start by playing with one of these graphs. For example, it shows the applications by vendor and business units. And as you can see, you can control the level of details that are shown in this graph. You can remove information that you may think are not relevant so that the graphs gets much simplified. And these are tied to your real model data. So you could click on any of these bars and you'll be taken to the exact list of applications or requirements or business processes that matches that specific criteria. You can also click on these items to look at the details from the model. And just to re-emphasize, the details are again a simplified form which leverages the data from models but shows them in a very comprehensible manner. So these graphs are further sliceable, and then you can click any other segment and look at the specific list that is contributing to it. One of the most useful visualizations for senior executives is the heat maps. So what we have got here is a heat map that traverses across business work packages to the applications impacted, to the business services impacted, to application functions. And I could just click on each of these cells and it will take me to the next level of details that is used to build this data. A similar analysis can be done also using the multi-level pie charts, which again presents a completely different view of the same underlying data. And depending on how comfortable the users are, they could click on it and apply different prisms and different perspectives on top of it to understand what exactly happens if something is being changed or if something is going to be depreciated or made redundant. You could anytime click on the list view to be taken to the underlying data and look at its details as well. Another key view that we have always seen people being very interested is these dynamic charts. And these dynamic charts goes a step beyond the previously shown graphs, because this allows users to convert an EA diagram into a much interactive graph where they could choose what must be present in these graphs, and then they could move them around. They could apply filters. They could add visual cues on top of it. And they could also do their what if and impact analysis based on the relationships and the traceability information that we have captured in the EA models. So this, for example, is let's say the traceability and insert related elements of EA on steroids, for example, and you have absolute control on what you want to do with it, and you can also apply specific filtering and colors to make it more appealing to your audience or to yourself. So these views can also be shared as a link to the rest of the teams for their feedback, or you could also invite them to collaborate on it and make changes to it. So everything in Prolaborate is more about having a group of people looking at it and collaborating on it so that you always have the right inputs at the right time. So this obviously takes us to the next topic, which is the collaboration platform that the Prolaborate enables. And when collaboration is added to the model and architecture data, it becomes a completely different ball game where the architects are usually seen as someone sitting in an ivory tower, level 22, completely isolated from the rest of the team. That is a thing of the past. We need everyone to be involved in the architecture. We need every input that could even be from a customer service representative or a person who is on the field doing something. They have to feedback, for example, to improve a business process. So collaboration has always been seen in the modern world as something inevitable, and that's exactly what Prolaborate adds to the EA models. So let me start by looking at the Prolaborate feeds view, which is more like a social media wall, and that shows all the relevant discussions or items that are in focus. So for a user who wants to just start their day with what's been discussed or what's currently active, look at those discussions and see who is tagged in it or who is responsible for fulfilling one of those, they could just start from this wall. And these discussions are quite sophisticated. As you could see, it tags the EA artifacts or the EA diagrams on which it was created, and it can also have references to other EA artifacts. So you could just click on one of these diagrams to be taken to the live and the most recent view of the underlying model, and they could click on each of those items. It is just simply on their web browser, so they don't need any installations, and they could look at the details, and they could also at any time start a new discussion if they want to add a feedback or a comment on it, and they could just click on an item, start a new discussion, and go to it, tag other users who they think would be interested in this particular comment, and they could even reference other EA artifacts that needs to be added as context to this particular discussion. So you are kind of looking at emails with attachments and CCing the whole team on it to make something happen. That's a thing of the past. We are looking at something that's live and interactive, so they get notified when they are tagged, and things get done pretty quickly rather than waiting for email correspondences to happen. But needless to say, each of these notifications or each of these discussions will be sent as an email to those guys or to the people who have been tagged. And this view currently shows 2 users looking at their own dashboards. As you could see, these are customized to their own purpose based on the role that they play, and they get notified about a new discussion if that item is of interest to them. And the users could just click on that notification, go to the exact discussion, and they could post a response to it or even question it. And these comments are in turn notified to everyone else who've been tagged in that particular discussion, and they could either agree to it by just pressing a like, or they could add further feedback to it. And all these are happening on top of your live EA model contents. So the model author also gets these notifications, and he could keep improving his model based on this feedback. So if someone has missed this real-time notifications, they will also see reminders, which shows them what has been discussed, and they could just click on those reminders to be taken to the right discussion or the right diagram. So this, having discussed this, we'll be now moving to the more structured and agile model reviews, which kind of builds on this collaboration platform, but it also incorporates a customizable workflow that helps you organize involvement and also get the feedback consolidated in a more structured manner. So the conventional review process goes by publishing your EA diagrams onto documents or to emails, and then emailing them across to stakeholders for review, and then gathering their feedback either via email replies or through some shared spreadsheets. And we make the changes to the model once again, and then the process just repeats and repeats. And it's just overtly complicated and cumbersome, to just say the least. Prolaborate redefines the reviews by enabling structured, gated reviews to be created on live EA model contents. So each reviewer who is involved in these reviews gets email notifications and reminders to encourage them to participate in the review, which is also a major challenge in large organizations. And every time they log into the portal, they get reminders with all the active reviews that needs their attention. And the user could just navigate to the respective review by clicking on these reminders, and they will be taken to a completely specific dashboard for that particular review, and they could look at the items that they've been requested to review. And it's as simple as clicking an item and looking at its details. And if they are happy with it, they could go and just click the tick to say he's happy, he's okay to approve it. Or if he has some feedback to be added, for example, if he is looking at the list stock levels and he has a comment to be added, he could just go and add a discussion. And this discussions is building up on the same collaboration engine that we discussed in the previous session with all the tagging, but it also is specific to the particular review. So every comment is considered as a feedback to that review, and it gets cascaded back to other reviewers and to the model, the review author. And the review moderator or the author gets to see what every reviewer is up to, and he gets to see what's the progress, and he also gets to see the comments, the number of open discussions or open comments on each of the review items. He could click on it, and you'll get to see the live the comment, and as you can see, he could understand who posted it. And when he's looking at it, he is also getting a notification that some other reviewer has posted another comment. So this kind of real-time collaboration to facilitate model reviews takes away a lot of lead times and round trips. And the model author could go ahead and update their model contents based on these comments. And the reviewers, when they look at the diagram next time, that's going to be the most updated and the most relevant contents. The reviewers also get to see actionable dashboards to quickly view and provide their consent. So this is a reviewer's dashboard, and as you can see, this is different from the moderators, and this gets to see, they get to see their status and the review comments from the peers on the items that they've been requested to review. So such a transparent and transparent review system where users get to see the live evolving model contents and also see the views of the fellow team members greatly reduces the noise and unnecessary round trip times. So this brings us to the last part of this session, which is talking about how Prolaborate enables truly digital knowledge management platforms by closely integrating with the most reputed knowledge management tools such as Confluence and SharePoint. So these knowledge management tools are seen as indispensable part of the digital organizations, and it's not very uncommon for users to copy their EA diagrams and paste them in these Confluence pages and retype all the model information in those pages to publish these pages. This is counterproductive and in a lot of ways defeats the purpose of the digital documents. Prolaborate allows users to seamlessly integrate EA model contents into live pages, totally avoiding the need to copy and paste contents. And as you can see, this page is loading live contents from the EA model. And the Confluence macro, powered by Prolaborate, allows embedding utilities from EA right into these pages. And users could browse through diagrams or packages or elements from a connected EA repository, and they could just publish a page based on those contents. And a page that is powered by this direct link, the users can also enable sub-packages, for example, or apply a filter on it to just see the most relevant information for them. And clicking on each of these items could take them to the direct Prolaborate link, which shows them more details about that particular artifact. The diagrams and diagram contents are also dynamically updated in the same manner. And clicking on one of these diagrams, diagram items take them to the exact Prolaborate link to see more details about it. Or alternatively, the users can also have a live embedding utility of Prolaborate that allows you to have a Prolaborate view inside your Confluence or SharePoint or any digital platform page, where users could just click on these items and get the same look and feel that they get in a normal Prolaborate browser. So this greatly simplifies any need for copying and pasting contents and having static contents floating around in the so-called digital knowledge management platforms. So in this presentation, we explored some key aspects of the Sparx Systems new offering, Prolaborate, which addresses some of the key pain points in obtaining a wider buy-in for model information and enabling a truly social enterprise architecture platform. So we request you to get started now by just shooting us an email to start with a 30-day trial or a personalized demo, or you could even request a proof of concept. So with this, I'll pass back to Scott, who would take us through the questions and the rest of the session.
Thanks, Nizam. That was great. We've got a lot of questions. I'm just going to share my screen briefly. So you can see on screen we have the Sparx Systems website. So the first thing, there are a few people asking some questions about can they review this presentation again. It's under resources and the webinar library. We will publish this webinar along with our extensive webinar library, and we'll try to do that as soon as possible, sometime next week, so that you'll be able to review this content again. Once again, if you go to sparxsystems.com, under products, you can simply select Prolaborate and it will take you to this page, which will give you an idea of pricing and a quick overview. So there's a few people that have asked, so Colin and Gareth and a few other people have asked, do you need the ProCloud Server in order to use Prolaborate? So I was wondering if you could answer that for us, please, Nizam.
Sure. Yes, ProCloud Server provides the APIs that are used by Prolaborate to leverage the EA model contents. So the way we see is we model it in EA and we use the ProCloud Server internally to get the APIs and expose it in the Prolaborate platform. And if you are already a ProCloud Server user or a ProCloud Server Express user, you can get started with 10 license of Prolaborate right away, and then you can scale it up from there. And Prolaborate's mix includes the ProCloud Server pricing as well. So you get more details if you visit our website.
So we had another question from Gareth, which follows up on some of your comments about the APIs. It says, is Prolaborate web-based, and how does it overlap with WebEA?
Okay, great question. The way Sparx Systems sees, yes, it is web-based, and you can have it either, hosted either on-premise, or you could also avail a completely cloud-based Prolaborate. The way Sparx Systems sees WebEA and Prolaborate is the WebEA is for modelers who wants to see the full set of information that they see in a thick client from a web browser. Prolaborate is for the rest of the team who are the non-EA modelers who want to consume the EA model information, but they do not have the time or the patience to go through the learning curve to understand the entire model. They just want to have specific views of the model, and that's where Prolaborate comes into picture.
Thanks, Nizam. I've got a question from Joe, and he says, hi, I wonder, are the real-time report graph filters, etc., designed by a wizard or directly coded using SQL or JavaScript?
So it's a great question. It's a wizard, but it mostly, to get something like a heat map, it's mostly SQL queries using that wizard. So the reports that I showed, the lists are driven by just selecting a package content and say which information you want to see. But some of the advanced graphs are at the moment query based. However, we're looking at even simplifying that in the future versions.
Thanks, Nizam. Gillian said, are the initial 10 licenses of Prolaborate free? So I was wondering if you could elaborate on that, please, Nizam.
Yes. So if you're using ProCloud Server Express or a ProCloud Server already, or if you have active EA licenses, you could be entitled to a ProCloud Server Express, and that enables 10 licenses of Prolaborate to be availed as a complimentary basis as well. And this is seen from Sparx Systems as more something to build a proof of concept or to evaluate it to see the effectiveness of using such a solution into your in your teams.
Thanks, and I'll do one final question before I wrap up. So Ole says, is it possible to alter the value of attributes for a model entry through Prolaborate? So I was wondering if you could talk about some of the editing capabilities and some of the security and restrictions on who can see what parts of the model.
Absolutely. That was a great question. So we have a follow-up webinar where we'll be showing you these things in more detail. But in summary, yes, you can edit attributes and tag values and name and description from Prolaborate. What you can't do is to edit diagrams through Prolaborate. That's the only restriction. But just to add to it, you can also control which attributes can be updated by the end users. So Prolaborate's forms offers great granularity on controlling which attribute can be edited. So you can say, I want my end user to update my notes, but he won't be able to update the name. Or you can say, I want him to update the cost tag value, but I don't want him to update the author or any other attribute. So it's very granular, and it allows you to get the right information from the right teams.
Excellent. Thanks very much. So I'll just wrap up the session now. As always, the webinar and the Q&A from today's session and any questions that we didn't get to will be published on sparxsystems.com/webinars, and we'll aim to get that out next week. As Nizam just mentioned, there will be a hands-on technical overview of Prolaborate coming up, where we'll do a 1 hour long deep dive into Prolaborate and how you configure and how you set up some of the attributes. Today's session was really just to give an introduction and show you some of the features and to talk about some of the relationships between ProCloud Server, Enterprise Architect and Prolaborate, and how the suite of tools all work together to engage and inform everyone in the organization. We're going to have a range of new webinars in 2019, and I think we'll be aiming for late January for that follow-up technical overview of Prolaborate. Once again, if you want questions about prices, demo, or sales information, you can email prolaborate@sparxsystems.com. And if you have feedback on the webinars or future topics you might like to see, you can always email webinar@sparxsystems.com. So on behalf of Nizam and myself, I'd like to thank you all very much for your attendance, and it's been great to showcase this new product, and I look forward to hearing from you again in the new year. So anything you'd like to add, Nizam?
No, thank you very much, everyone, for your time, and I hope this session was relevant. For any further information, as Scott mentioned, please feel free to write to us, and we'll be able to assist you individually.
Thank you very much.